Rishi is a desperate man.
Last week, yet again, Labour peers in the House of Lords contrived to stop the Safety of Rwanda bill. For almost 2 years, our opponents have used every trick in the book to block flights and keep the boats coming. But enough is enough. No more prevarication, no more delay. Parliament would sit there tonight and vote no matter how late it goes. No ifs, no buts. These flights are going to Rwanda. We are going to deliver this indispensable deterrent so that we finally break the business model of the criminal gangs and save lives. Starting from the moment that the bill passes, we will begin the process of removing those identified for the first flight. We have prepared for this moment. To detain people while we prepare to remove them, we've increased detention spaces to 2,200. To quickly process claims, we've got 200 trained, dedicated caseworkers ready and waiting. To deal with any legal cases quickly and decisively, the judiciary have made available 25 courtrooms and identified 150 judges who could provide over 5,000 sitting days.
£500 million for a scheme that only covers 1% of asylum seekers. How can you justify that? How can Rishi Sunak come out there with a smile and pride and say, look guys, look what we did? As we've just seen from this clip, Rishi Sunak is basically saying that flights to Rwanda will take off before he is kicked out of office. Essentially, that's what it is. Rishi Sunak has announced that the flights to Rwanda will take off. A bit later than planned, but they will take off. Now, this is just another election manoeuvring tactic by Rishi Sunak, because it doesn't matter. As long as he can promise that one person has gone to Rwanda, to him it's a success. But he's a moron, because any sane intellectual person will know about every other thing the Conservatives have done, the other scandals that Rishi Sunak has had to endure, and judge him on those anyway. It doesn't matter if you get one person to go to Rwanda, you are still a failure. You are still an unelected, an unmandated party leader, a leader of the country that nobody wanted. You are still the backstabber who's got rid of the only person out of the year of the 3 prime ministers that actually had a mandate. He is not wanted, and his desperate attempt to make sure the Rwanda flight takes off is emblematic of the Conservatives' wider problems that don't just die when you send one person to Rwanda. There is still a problem. There's still an immigration problem. There's still thousands of people coming to the shores every single year. But as long as Rishi Sunak sends that one person off to Rwanda, score. No. So this is exactly what he had to say. This is exactly what was reported at the time. PM promises summer Rwanda flights as wrangles over bill continue. Basically, the Lords are like, no fucking way. And she's like, yeah way. No way. Yeah way. It won't happen. The first flights deporting asylum seekers to Rwanda will take off in 10 to 12 weeks. Rishi Sunak has announced, missing his original spring target. A 5-month battle over the Rwanda bill continued on Monday evening as the Lords refused to back down on demands for one last change. Mr Sunak earlier promised to keep MPs and Lords late into the night on Monday to pass his flagship Rwanda bill. No ifs, no buts. These flights are going to Rwanda, he said. Last week, peers demanded 2 changes to the bill: for an independent monitoring committee to be put into place and for exemptions for Afghans who had assisted the British military. That meant the bill was sent back to the House of Commons on Monday afternoon. The Minister for Illegal Migration, there's a Minister for Illegal Migration, Michael Tomlinson, refused to accept the changes, saying he was disappointed to be voting on the bill for a 3rd time. That is why we have a Lords, despite the fact that they shouldn't be elected how they are or put into the Lords how they are. They are there to scrutinise the Commons. They are there to make sure that no tyrannical dictator of an MP decides to put in certain measures for the country. It is a mitigation measure, and he's disappointed that they did their job. The Commons voted to reject both amendments, voting 306 to 229 and 305 to 234 on either one. Back in the House of Lords, later on Monday evening, Peers decided to drop the demand on Afghan veterans. Home Office Minister Lord Sharp announced there would be an independent reassessment of claims with credible links to Afghan special forces, and verified claims would be exempt from deportation. But on Monday morning, Rishi Sunak told a down-the-street press conference the first flight will leave in 10 to 12 weeks. Of course, that is later than what we wanted, but we have always been clear that processing will take time, and if Labour peers had not spent weeks holding up the bill in the House of Lords trying to block these flights altogether, we would have began this process weeks ago. The government has already prepared an airfield and secured charter plane slots to ensure flights take off. He will work to a drumbeat of multiple flights a month throughout the summer, he added, because that's how you build a systematic deterrent, and that's how you'll stop the boats. Or you could just stop them, like Australia did. Send them back. To smooth the approach to the first flights taken off, Mr. Sunak said the Home Office had been building extra space in the asylum process, including 200 caseworkers hired, 25 courtrooms and 150 judges to hear asylum claims, offering 5,000 days in court, hardening rules around European Court of Human Rights injunction, and a pre-booked airfield, and 500 escorts for the flights, with 300 more in training. The Prime Minister announced immigration detention spaces have increased to 2,200 in preparation to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. But this is only enough to hold a fraction of the 52,000 people earmarked for deportation under the government's plans. They don't even have enough room! Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper denied Labour were blocking the bill, saying that the government has an overall majority in Parliament and could have passed this bill a month ago if they had scheduled it. Labour would enhance border security rather than spend £500 million for a scheme that will only cover 1% of asylum seekers. £500 million for a scheme that only covers 1% of asylum seekers. How can you justify that? How can Rishi Sunak come out there with a smile and pride and say, look guys, look what we did. Guys, look what we did. We spent £500 million. We spent £500 million. We sent 2 immigrants to Rwanda. And they haven't been deterred. £500 million for 1% of asylum seekers. It's moronic. Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey says no amount of sound bites or spin can change the fact that the Conservatives' Rwanda scheme is a colossal failure. Millions of pounds and years of government attention have already been wasted with nothing to show for it. Asked about the proposal to establish a monitoring committee to assess the safety of Rwanda, Andrew Mitchell, Senior Foreign Office Minister, in the Commons said some of the discussions that have gone on in the Lords about the judicial arrangements, the legal arrangements within Rwanda, have been patronising and, in my view, border on racism. Mr. Mitchell said the regime in Rwanda had made a remarkable turnaround from the genocide over the last 30 years after nearly being completely destroyed by the genocide. Kigali is arguably safer than London. It is time for the Lords, which is a revising chamber, to accept the will of the elected chamber. True. And the safety of the Rwanda bill is central to Mr. Sunak's plans to stop the boats. The guy isn't going to stop the boats. £500 million on 1% of immigrants, of the asylum seekers. And that is what they want to. That's going to be on the Conservatives' flags. If they ever get the flights to Rwanda, it's like Rishi Sunak made that bet with Piers Morgan that he will get flights off to Rwanda. But I don't think anyone really cares that much. They care about the fact that Conservatives have been an absolute shit show for the past 12 years. That's what people care about. But anyway, do you think Rishi Sunak will get this plane off to Rwanda? Do you think he'll get more than one plane off to Rwanda? Do you think that the Rwanda bill, or the complete concept of sending asylum seekers to Rwanda, has been a colossal and complete failure? Let me know what you think in the comments. I've been Jake from Just Jake, and as always, thank you for watching the video. Like the channel, like the video, share the video, and as always, make love, not war, because you may end up in Rwanda. Did you like the video? Then hit the subscribe button, or watch some more videos. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and helps this channel grow. Thank you very much.